Welcome in. It is day 45 and you are speaking with the Meeples Champion. Today we're going to be jumping back into a series that I've already discussed almost a month ago. The first game we discussed was the Architects of the West Kingdom, but today we're going to be speaking about Paladins of the West Kingdom. You know, in the West Kingdom and the North Sea games, the fun of these games is the idea that they're telling you a story, that there are a trilogy of games and that each one is the progression of their different kingdoms and where they're going to end up. Architects was the idea of building up the kingdom, creating it, helping to make, the cathedral and building everything. Paladins is about fighting to defend the kingdom, going out there and having a lot more of a warfare style worker placement. It's interesting because of the ways that you jump into this game, where there are so many different buildings and different routes you can go on. I've played the game about 4 to 5 times now, and there are routes that I've never touched. I don't tend to go into the battles themselves very often. I'm a bigger person about trying to build and therefore create the green buildings, the red buildings, putting out the black marker, putting out the blue marker, trying to shift things, cover things on the board and get into victory points that way. Compared to people who are going out into the battles or building the wall, who are more so attacking the cards and trying to fill across the card fill. There's a lot of strategies. They're always very interesting, and it really is fun when you get to the end of the game and you're not exactly sure where you match up. You might think you're really not doing well, and turns out nobody touched an area that you did and you killed it in points there. Or you might think you're doing fantastic and find out, well, the thing you dominated in, a couple people were pretty close, but they did other stuff as well. It gives a lot of options. Why don't we jump right in and start talking about our 7 categories. Category 1 being art. The art for this game is fabulous. It is no different in regards to what Architects brings to you. It's the same style. What I really like is that the characters you met in the first game, a lot of those people have transferred into this game. You've seen those cards, the same characters, the same way that they're designed, just moved up. They might have a slightly different title, but they're roughly just the same people. It's the same city. It's the same kingdom. So you're not just throwing out brand new art, but what you are doing is now bringing in the Paladins themselves, which are an all new character that is now in this board. The box, it has the theme of the first, and yet it's just totally different with the way that they bring in these characters, and I really think that this sells itself. The box sells me the game, the cards and the board sell me the theme. It's a giant thumbs up when it comes to all of the art. Number 2, components. The components are fantastic as well. Again, a lot of cards. There are an immense amount of cards in these games. This particular game, I want to say it's probably about 200 cards. You have got so many different styles of decks. It's interesting because at the start of the game, you have smaller decks, and these are where you're getting, for instance, your meeple count. Depending on if you're first compared to last, here are the different potential meeples that you can get. Pick your group of 4. And it's really interesting because you have to pick a card from your hand and you have to pick a group of 4. And that combo is going to give you 6 meeples that are exclusive to that particular round, as well as the meeples you may earn during a round, as well as the 3 you are allowed to carry over from the prior round. So when you put all that together, you can come into a round with an extremely interesting set of meeples. And since there's so many colored meeples in this game, and those colors allow you the option of where you're going and how you're going to have to pay for things, you have to have a blue to go here, along with 2 of any of your color, compared to over here is anything that you want to use, compared to over here is you have to have a white, you have to have a blue, you have to have a red. Things start to get interesting depending on that color combination. The purple being wild is great, except that every time you grab a wild, it means you're also going to be getting a debt card. It's so many intricacies. But your cards, like most of the time, are fabulously designed, as well as your actual pieces on the board, which is just loads and loads of wooden pieces, really well put together. They really sell the theme as well, right with that art. It's another giant thumbs up from me. Your price. This game is easy to get a hold of. You're going to find this in every board game store. It's very rare you won't. I'd say 4 out of 5 at least. You're going to find it most likely when you're going into a Target, maybe not, but definitely when you go into a Barnes & Noble, keep an eye out. You may not find the whole trilogy, but if they don't have one of the three, it'd be a shock to me. You'll find it on Amazon, and the game tends to go somewhere in that 45 to 50 range. It's a little bit smaller box than some of these bigger games coming out today, but it's reasonable. I think that it's not too much to charge. It's an intricate game, but there's a lot of pieces to it, but you're paying for what you're getting, and I love what you're getting. It is a big thumbs up when it comes to that price range for me. Your difficulty. Now, it is a little difficult. Questions come into where does difficulty shift when you're talking about a part 2 to a series? I think that, Paladins can be a little bit difficult. It's not difficult to play, it's difficult to win. You can come into this game and you can pretty easily see, okay, I can get my meeples this way, I can place them here, I can make this, I'm going to get points by doing that. And you can basically play the game start to finish. And I don't feel like you're going to get massively lost. There's a lot to do, but that also means there's a lot of, if you don't understand it all, you still can at least find out a piece of it, and you're going to enjoy the run. The difficulty is getting to the end and figuring out, can you win with the points you scored, and not realizing that you didn't understand the game completely yet. Do I think that somebody who's an expert can play the start to finish and know what they're doing? Yes. Do I think an average, I play on a weekly basis, I may not know every game, and I may not play with every style, but I would consider myself a above entry-level gamer play it? Yes. Can an entry-level gamer play it? I think so, but they're the ones that are going to have to be okay with the fact that they may not have the score they think they're going to have. But that's okay. You play it once, you play it twice, by the third one, hopefully they get it. The only real cutoff for me is I don't think you're finding kids under like 15 playing this. I think at those younger ages, it's going to be tough for them to be okay with playing the game and not truly understanding it. But I'm going to give it a thumbs up when it comes to that price. Replayability. It is replayable, but I would say you're not playing it twice in a night. That's a definite no. I don't know that you're going to even play it twice in a month. I think that this game is the type that you play it. It's a big night. You're putting in a good 2 hours minimum on it. Maybe 3, but I'd say 2 to 2.5 is its range. And you're not going to find people all jumping to play it the next week again. Can you get this game in 2 or 3 times a year? Yes. So I think it's worth being in your collection because it's not going to just be played and then forgotten about for a year or two. But do I think that it's worthy of a thumbs up? No. You need, for me, the replayability on this particular game to own it 2 or 3 times a year is acceptable, but to get a thumbs up from me, I would need to have the ability to play at least, once or twice, twice in a month, or to be able to play it back to back in the same day. And this game doesn't really hit those classifications for me. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a thumbs down. Your keys to victory. There are so many. Immediately, it's just a thumbs up. There's not a question here. This game has so many different ways to score points. And none of those ways are clearly the do this and you win. Or if they do this, you can't win because of these 6 ways. It's not how it works. There are points all over the place to be scored. It's not a point salad, but it is definitely a game that you have a lot of routes to choose. And as you're going, you might be adjusting because you notice somebody else is doing one of them better than you. So you abandon plan and go somewhere else. That's acceptable. But overall, I think that this game gives you a lot of ways to win. All of them can do it, and it's just about you trying to balance out, can you pay attention to you and your opponents and figure out what route is going to work this particular time? And for me, that's a perfect keys to victory. And finally, unique. Can't give it the unique. You're a part 2 in a series. You've already done Architects, that's just using and leaning on the art and the design of this kingdom. So you're following that up. Is it different than that game? Yes. But is it different enough that I feel like this is a completely brand new game? No, it's not. It's leaning on the theme and the cards and the board from the prior game, and it's using mechanics a little different, but they're from other games. So I can't give it the unique. I would love to. I really like this game, and it's one that I really recommend. Thumbs down on the unique. So overall, what do I think of the game? I think that it is a definite must-play for everybody, especially if you've played Architects of the West Kingdom. Jump into this one. And when you're done playing with this one, think about it. Was it worth buying? Should you buy it before you play it? No. I think you need to play it first. This game is one that I was excited for, but I could not tell people that before playing it that I was sure I'd like it. And when I played it, I said to myself, I think I would like to own this, but I'm not sure I'm going to play this very often with non-gamers, with my family and friends who aren't part of my Monday night game nights. And as a result of that, I have held off putting it in my collection so far. I will get it at some point, but I'm holding off because it's not a must-buy for me, and I love the game. So is it a must-buy? No. But is it a must-play? Yes. This has been day 45. We've been speaking about Paladins of the West Kingdom, and you are speaking with the Meeples champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below as I'm going to be putting in the Amazon link for this game into the description. I'll talk to you tomorrow.